All right, guys, we are going to do a book review. Actually, I want to do, there's two for sure that I need to do a book review on, and this one because I mentioned it in the last one, Ice Planet Barbarian, although there's like 22 or something crazy like that. I own 4 of them, and I actually bought a Kindle so that I could read the other ones, because some of them, like on Amazon, aren't available in paperback. Maybe they are and I just didn't look good enough, but I bought a Kindle. I do prefer real books though. So there's that to consider. But I just had to review this one as well. I already read it. It's a very easy read. I read it straight up in a day. And I just feel like I have a lot to say about this one. So we're gonna start off with Ice Planet Barbarians, and I'll tell you guys what I think about this one, and then we're gonna dive into this one in the second half. So it's gonna be a double review, and then next week, because I've already read the other 3, I'm thinking I'm probably going to do a combo of the 3 as well, all lumped into the next review. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I've been reading a lot lately, so I don't want to like get behind since I'm only doing like 1 review a week. So there's that. So just know, oops, I need this one. Just know that these 3, they're in order. Actually, I read it in order, so I thought I didn't, but I did. So Ice Planet Barbarian is 1, and then it goes Barbarian Alien as the second book. And then it goes Barbarian Lover as a 3rd, and Barbarian Mine as the 4th. And then the 5th one, I just downloaded on my Kindle, and I'll show you guys my Kindle too. So I'll go grab that. It's probably bright just because the window's right there, and that's probably a little, hopefully that helps a little bit. So here's my Kindle. It is the Amazon Kindle Oasis. I think it's like the newer Kindle. So this is just like the lock screen. I don't know if I can like change the lock screen or not. I literally just got this a couple hours ago and I haven't even had a chance to really look at it. So yeah, so I went with this like gold color, and I do need to buy a cover for this, but this is from Amazon. Like I said, I'll link mine, the one that I ordered, it down below in case you want it too. But like, it's really nice and it's really lightweight, and it's interesting, like the grip. It's definitely like right-handed. I don't know if it's like made for the comfort of like what you would hold a real book, but if you're left-handed, like there's that to consider. But anyways, so that's the Kindle, and let's dive into this book review. I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't know how to tackle this. I don't know how to talk about this book on the internet that's not like rated R, because that's what this is. So I've never in my life had heard about the Blue Alien books. Like, I guess that's like what this is known for, and some of you have also told me that this is like a big thing. Like, there's Facebook groups on this, and like, yeah, things you can join. Like, I don't really know, but I'm not surprised. Like, I think that this whole Blue Alien thing has like a pretty huge following, and I'm not surprised, because Ruby Dixon's publishing house is Penguin Random House, and that's a big one. That's a big publishing company, if not like maybe the biggest. But so that actually really surprised me, I'm not gonna lie. Like, who her publishing company is like shook me a little bit. But I will say, I am finding myself addicted to these books. It's very trashy. Like, you should know that straight out the gate. Like, so if that's not like your thing, I would not at all entertain these books. And I'm telling you, like, the whole book is around that. And even though, like I've mentioned, I do not like the 50 Shades of Grey, I just felt like the reason why I never really liked 50 Shades of Grey, I didn't like kind of what happened to Christian himself. It was just like a dark thing. It wasn't necessarily like the whole room thing that they did, but it just felt dark, and I just didn't really like it. That's not to say that I don't like intimacy in books. because that's like what is in my historical romance novels. There are a lot of scenes like that, but this is completely different. Like, she uses pretty dirty words. Like, there's no way, like, I don't know how to do this book review. The words are very dirty. I would say this is definitely probably classified as smut, which is a term in book world. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, you know, there's no shame in like what you like to read and what you want to read, and I promise you I have absolutely no shame. I just don't know how to like delicately talk about this book because it's so trashy in a good way. Like, I was so surprised by how much I love this. I will say this about the Blue Alien books. Trashy, smutty, it's great. But it's also such a very easy read. It's really all about the human girl and the alien, and like the end. And there's no big huge drama about any other plot, like, if that's, you know what I'm saying, there's not like some war going on, or there's not like some other obstacle. It is always about that particular human girl and her mate, which is the blue alien. So I'm just gonna give you guys the basis of what this is all about. 12 girls get kidnapped from Earth by aliens, the kind of aliens that we kind of like, what's the word? Stereotype. You know, green aliens, that kind of thing. So these aliens kidnap 12 girls from Earth, and 6 of them are in pods, like, you know, in hibernation pods, so they have no idea what's going on. They're the original 6 girls that were captured. Then the aliens decide to kidnap 6 more girls that I guess weren't part of the plan. And essentially, they come in to kidnap girls, and they go back to their galactic universe, and they sell off these girls to like the highest bidder, essentially. So it's just like a meat market, essentially. But the 6 girls that they didn't plan on really picking up, they don't put them in pods, because I'm thinking there weren't pods, like, I don't really know. But these 6 girls that are awake, and Georgie is one of them, Liz is one of them, Josie is one of them, Kira is one of them, Georgie, Liz, Josie, Kira, Harlow maybe, and maybe Dominique. I'm not sure if that's correct on the 6 girls, but Georgie for sure and Liz for sure. Georgie kind of takes things upon herself, like, and they stage like a whole overthrow. And so they fight back with the aliens on their ship as they're in outer space, and they basically kind of win. But the ship gets taken down. It gets taken down onto this icy planet, and this planet is straight up ice. There's a harsh winter and then an even worse winter, and it snows and it snows and it snows, like the end. And there's like 2 tiny suns. So this planet's really cool the way that she describes it. So they crash onto this planet that's not part of, like, the aliens don't live there. They just crash because these girls overthrow these aliens. And the aliens leave because they wreck their ship, and I guess they like get a ride out with another ship, whatever. So this story in particular is about Georgie. So each alien barbarian story is about one of the 12 girls and the blue aliens that live there. So essentially these men, and you can kind of see like a photo, they're described as like 7 feet tall. They have like blue skin, but they have different variations in like tones of their blue skin. And then some of them have like short buzz cuts. Most of them have long hair, actually. And the way she describes their organs, I don't know about all that, but like, here we are, you know. So that's really the basis, and I enjoyed it. I'm finding myself thoroughly enjoying reading different types of books lately, and that honestly has surprised me, because I'm just a sucker for historical romance. I always will be. They'll always be my preferred books to read. But this just has that like clearly a fantasy quality, like fantasy fiction, and you know, like Twilight, like that, like it's not real, you know. And it's so nice to just kind of read mindless things. And that probably came out wrong, because I don't want to insult Ruby Dixon, because you know what, it takes guts to write like this, and I'm honestly like, just like, I got some serious respect for this writer. So I'm not saying it's mindless, I'm just saying that it's not like Nicholas Sparks, okay? There's a difference, and I like that. Not everything has to be the same, and so this is very different from anything that I own on these shelves, and I am shook that I love it. So like I said, I had no idea. I never even heard about these. I was just at Walmart and saw the cover. I was like, okay. It was funny because I brought it home and Micah was like, oh, she started laughing at me. She's like, I tried. She was like, no, it's not her thing. Micah does like a lot of depth. So if you watch some of her book reviews, you can kind of probably get a general idea of like clearly what she likes. But listen, I'm glad she hasn't read these, because that would just be really weird. I'm not gonna lie. These books are insane. So with that said, so just to kind of show you guys like some of the other men on the cover, like this is Kira, and see her guy has like a short buzz cut, and then this is Liz's guy, and he has like a broken horn, and they do have horns, but you can see like he is like super blue. And then this is Harlow, and you can see kind of what her guy looks like. And yeah, so I'm super excited to just kind of keep reading these. But so this is Georgie's story, and Georgie takes it upon herself, and then she sort of kind of becomes the unofficial leader of the human girls. So only on this planet are these blue aliens, and it's not even their original planet either. So there were about 60 of them that were on this cruise spaceship, and they had left their planet to go on a vacation of sorts, and they end up crashing onto this ice planet, and there was just no way to kind of go back home. And so for over 200 years, their species have now like been living in this ice planet, but they've been dying off because they haven't really been producing many children, and there's just more males than females, so it's killing them off. So here comes a spaceship of 12 human women, and they're just like celebrating. But let me tell you the biggest thing about this book that just really made me fall in love. So Georgie's the first character that I read. When I tell you I've never laughed harder in a book in my life. I've never laughed harder in a book in my life. Georgie's character was so damn funny. The way Ruby writes these women kills me. And she makes each of them just so unique in their own way. And that's just, I'm always in awe of that. Like, Georgie was just so funny to me. And it was actually only in the first half of the book, to be quite fair. Like, when I get to the second half, I'm not nearly laughing as much, and only because in the first half there's like a language barrier, and so Georgie was just so funny. But then Georgie gets a download of their language, and so it kind of fizzles off in that sense. But yeah, so she gets a download from their ship that crashed. So their ship that crashed is still kind of in like working condition from like 200 something years ago. And this spaceship is just very advanced, and it can like download multiple languages, which I thought was really cool. And you're talking to a girl who loves Star Trek. I am the biggest Star Trek Voyager fan. Like, that's my favorite Star Trek series is the Voyager series with Captain Catherine Janeway. So for me, this definitely had like a Trekkie quality to it in a sense. So it connected with me just so well. So I found myself laughing so hard. Like I tried to read this all in one day, and this was the day that I had like a migraine, and so I had to finish reading it the next day. But I was laughing so hard the next day. I asked Mike, I was like, did you hear me? She's like, yeah. Because I could not stop laughing. Like at one point, I was so scared to like swallow water while I was reading it, because I knew I was gonna spit it out. Like it was just that funny to me. I don't know why. So anyways, Georgie ship crashes and aliens are gone. They've got these 6 women in these pods and they're freezing to death because they're just not equipped to live on this planet. Plus, they got kidnapped in their sleep, in their pajamas, and some of them like slept with nothing. So they are freezing. They have no shoes, they have nothing. And so Georgie's like, okay, I'm gonna go search for help. So they basically give Georgie all of the clothes that they like have in order for her to go save them. So she goes out into this blizzardy mess and she gets caught in a trap. She gets caught in Vectol's trap. At least that's how I'm pronouncing his name. I wish she would, oh, she does. She does have a pronunciation. Vectol. Yeah, Vectol. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize she has a whole list of like the families in here of who's on this planet, which was really nice. So Vectol and Geordi. And Vectol is the chief of the Sakui tribe, so that's their tribe name. And actually they adapted the Kui into their name. I think they were just like the Sa tribe, but Kui is this parasite, if you will, that they have to have inside of them in order to live on this planet. So even the blue aliens, when they crash landed onto this icy planet, they had to figure out that they needed this Kui parasite inside of them so that they could live under those conditions. Just the Kui enabled them to deal with the cold and adapt to that level, and it would warm them, and it also allowed them to breathe in and filter the oxygen that was on this planet. And it also turns their eyes like what I imagine was like neon blue. And it's everyone. Everyone gets these blue eyes. There's no like other color as far as I'm concerned. And so and you have 8 days. You have 8 days of like living in your normal self before you die on this planet, before the oxygen just kills you. So you have to have this Kui immediately. So anyways, they're a couple days in, like 3 days into crash landing, and she goes out in search of help, and she gets caught in a trap, and she gets caught in Vectol's trap, and he immediately goes to her. Now the Kui, which is really cool the way she explains it, is that it also will tell you who your mate is, and there's only one. It's like fate and soulmates, except you get told who it is. You don't have to guess like here on Earth. You don't have to look at your partner and go like, are you or are you not? No, if we all escape to this planet, we're gonna know, because our chests are gonna hum and sing, and it does all this stuff, okay? So he captured her, but here's the thing. Here's what it starts off like immediately he captures her. She kind of like, you know, she blacks out, but he knows immediately that that's his mate, because his chest is humming and they know it, right? The blue aliens have been on this planet long enough to know that it's called resonance, I think is how she describes it. And it's basically where your Kui's like, yep, that's your mate, and it's time to mate, and it's time to basically reproduce, like, and it will not stop. It will not stop until you do. And so the other cool thing that I liked about the whole Kui is that it fixes these girls, like, and they each kind of come with their own human body baggage. Like one girl has a tumor in her mind, in her brain, and you know, another one had reproductive issues and like all kinds of things, and it like the Kui goes and repairs your body. And so he just, y'all, he doesn't expect to trap her. He's just, they have to hunt, you know. They have 2 winters, a horrible winter and then an even horrible winter. And so they have to do the bulk of their hunting in this easier type winter, because the second part of their season is so bad that they have to be huddled in their caves. So he's out doing all this hunting. You know, he's the chief. They've got other hunters going on as well. And he catches her, and he's never seen a human girl before, right? They're the only species. Now, there's like animals and all kinds of weird things, obviously, on this planet, but there's no human-like element besides these blue aliens. And, you know, they have their own language. And so he immediately, as soon as he gets to that trap and he realizes she's his mate, she's still coming out of her blackness, and he's already doing things. And her reaction to it, the way that's the best part. The best part was Georgie's personality in the first half of this book. It just, yeah. Read it if you haven't already. If it's like up your thing. If it's not like your thing, then I get it. It's not your thing. Like, I'm there. I understand. I did not think I would like something like this, but I'm not gonna lie. I liked it a hell of a lot. And let me tell you, it is making Earth look so bleak. Like, the men on this planet need to read this book. I think it should be done for educational purposes, because these blue alien men, they love their females. Like, the way they love them is in the best, healthiest obsession possible. Because and the word obsession doesn't, you know, annotate like healthiness, but it's healthy to me. Give me a spaceship. I will zoom to this miserable planet for a search of a blue man. Let me tell you. Who's single? Who? Give me a Kui. Let's pair up, because I'll do it right now. Like, that's it. That's the concept. And then the whole book is them just having a good time. I don't know how else to describe it to you other than that, ladies. But I think men should read this. I think that the way and I found that, again, I think Georgie's character and the way these blue aliens, it's what I think all women like probably fantasize, like how we want our man to treat us. Like, yes, 1000%. And the way that she writes these blue aliens with such innocence too. Like, it's just, oh, it's fantastic. I really liked Georgie and Vektal's story together. I'm still trying to figure out who I love more right now in the 4 books, but I have to immediately tell you that of all the girls, Liz is probably one of my top. She's my current top favorite right now. She was even funnier than Georgie. I laughed so hard. I don't even, like, I feel like I blacked out sometimes because it was so funny. Georgie had me in stitches. I mean, Liz had me in stitches. And then you would think, like, how could you get 22 stories? Human girls on this one planet. There's nothing going on. There's not like anything else to give you substance. There's not like a city or a mall or other people. No. So how can she write 22 books? But she does it. And each one is completely different. And like Liz's whole story, again, I'm not diving into this one, but there's exile in this one. But I will say Liz for sure. And then they're all in each other's books because they're all from, you know, they're all the human girls. And so you get, you know, each of the characters in a way, in each of their stories, which is so funny. So like I read this one, Barbarian Mine with Harlow, and there's a line in here from Liz that I choked so hard. I can't wait to review this one, but it's so funny. So I know I've said that enough. We're done. I also really like the pop of neon. I think that's really cool. I will link these down below. Now, what I will say about these is that if you buy the prints themselves, this is only available in the physical print. She gives you extra chapters, and it's worth it because the way that she ends them, like the true ending, it's just not enough. It's not enough. So she does this like special edition where she gives you extra chapters. So, and again, only in the print, so I'm gonna link these 4 down below. But yeah, I mean, what's the other substance, you know? Georgie figures out the whole resonance thing. She understands the whole mating thing. She loves it. She does not fight this. She's like, oh yeah, okay, yeah. She is not missing Earth in any way, shape, or fashion. She is obsessed with Vectol. He's obsessed with her even more. The men are really into their women. Like, who wants to pack up with me and go? Because let's all get on a spaceship. And you know, she moves into this cave. Listen, I'll link it down below. All right, so that is my review. Again, I just don't really know what more to say. I'll say this, there's a lot. Like I told you what the whole book is about. Like that's it. The whole book is about them two together. And here's what kills me. Let me say this. What kills me is that Georgie's like, oh, let's go on a honeymoon. Honey, you are on a honeymoon. Y'all don't stop touching each other. What's gonna be different on the honeymoon? What? It's hilarious. So, and P.S., where are you going? To another cave? But okay, we'll work with that. So, I am very surprised that I found myself needing to read the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, and I literally bought a Kindle so that I can continue to read the ones that aren't available in print from Amazon. So, all right, now I'm very excited to talk about this book. I feel like I have a lot to say about this one. So let's get into this book. Rule number 1, you can't date the coach's daughter. This is by Anne Marie Meyer. And you can see football player and then just this girl wearing his helmet. I think this is probably a very popular little book circulating right now. It's a USA Today best-selling author. And listen, I love and admire all authors. And like I said, not every book has to be the same. But I will say I was disappointed in this book. I think I was expecting something else, and by the time I finished reading it, I did find myself going, huh. I was just like, really? I had different, yeah, I really had something else in mind, and so I'll explain it. So obviously, I mean, the title speaks for itself. They're in high school. He's a senior, she's a junior. She is the coach's daughter, the head coach of the football team. And, you know, there's this backstory. What's her name? I already forgot her name. Destiny. But she's called Tiny. Her dad calls her Tiny, so all the football boys call her Tiny. And she's not a cheerleader. Her best friend is a cheerleader. But she, like, you know, helps her dad after school. She kind of mans the water table and gives all the football players like water kind of thing. And she just feels, you know, like she's just not like seen in high school, and she doesn't think she's pretty, like that kind of thing, but she is, you know, like that. And she likes the star quarterback. And his name, I forget his name already. Like what? Tyson. His name's Tyson. Yeah, Tyson somebody. I forget. Tyson Blake. Now, the biggest backstory to this is that the mom left. The mom does not want to have her life with her husband and her daughter, and she just like leaves them. So it left the dad really bitter. And in a way, it kind of gives me like Pretty in Pink vibes, right? Same kind of concept, except the dad in Pretty in Pink didn't mind if she like dated, whereas the dad in this book really made her feel like she was never allowed to be around any boys. She followed the rules. Like, she was a good girl and she didn't want to hurt her dad. So she really kind of like, you know, had a very sheltered, quiet high school life, I suppose you could say. So, and she knows, she's like, I have to act cool when I watch Tyson out on the field, you know, because here she is. She waits for her dad to be done coaching and then they drive home together, kind of thing. So she's realizing that she has feelings for this Tyson boy, and it's all about that, and of course how he feels about her. But that's where I just feel like I feel like there's just so much missing from this. When I first saw this book, I thought, oh wow, we're gonna get some really good like football player, non-cheerleader like thing going on. And I thought we were gonna get so much content about football games and maybe like, you know, her getting attention, you know, like that kind of thing, like public, something like that. And that's not what you get at all. As a matter of fact, you barely get any football in this at all. And that's like kind of what threw me off, because this whole thing is you can't date the coach's daughter, but you just don't get football in the way that I thought we would get football. Yeah, I think there's a point where she's at a game and she's kind of manning the booth of selling, you know, spirit supplies, but there's nothing about her watching him play. You know, there's no, like, he's a star quarterback, but there's no paragraphs or anything about her watching him and his passes and maybe him looking at her like during the game. You know what I mean? There's nothing like that. It's just, I'm left kind of confused as to the popularity of this book. And I hate saying that, but I'm very confused. And then the biggest thing that bothered me about this book, and comment if you've read this and you know what I mean, but it literally this just makes my eye twitch. So the biggest thing that really turned me off about this book was that Tyson kind of, in a way, in the beginning, it's not that he kept her a secret, but like he would pull her into like the closet in the school, the janitor's closet, to talk to her. But then she goes to a party where he's there and he's very like open about pulling her into a hug, and then they dance. So I liked that. I liked that he wasn't trying to like keep the fact that he was into her a secret at all. But he did spend half of this book like basically telling her like, we shouldn't do this, like I need the scholarship, you know, if your dad catches us. He's like, I can't, because his mom in this book is written, unfortunately, as someone struggling with alcohol addiction. He has a little sister, and like the mom's just, you know, he's with her at one point because he asked her to help study for chemistry. She's really smart, so she's advanced and she's in a senior class with him. And she agrees to tutor him. And the first day that she's tutoring him, they have to leave and he has to pick up his mom. And so he like carries her out of a bar kind of thing. So, and he has a little sister. So he's late to class a lot because he's got to take her to school, and her school starts after their school. And so And then he's late to football practice. You know, he's just like, he's having to grow up a lot more than his peers. And so because of this, his football scholarship is clearly very important, as it should be, you know, under the circumstances of his storyline. So, and he thinks that, you know, if her dad catches them together, he'll kick him off the team. And he pretty much said as much to this boy, because he catches them like looking at each other and talking to each other, and he's like, and he like will make him run laps and do all this stuff if he ever catches anyone looking at his daughter. So, and that's the other thing I kind of miss. I miss more of the coach kind of having this conversation with the football players and introducing this rule, you know. But all you get is that, you know, the rule exists, but you never get to kind of hear it being said to the characters, if that makes sense. Like, I think the dad says it once to Tyson at the very beginning. He's like, what's the #1 rule? But I just kind of expected the dad to maybe reinforce it more and kind of really push it a lot more. It just, so that didn't happen. We're not really getting football games at all. We're not getting any sort of, like, have you guys ever watched that movie, the Cinderella movie with Chad Michael Murray and what's Lizzie McGuire's name? What's her name? Whatever her name is in real life, she's plays Cinderella. And he's a football player. And that whole moment where he's at the game and it's raining and she turns to leave and he just like leaves the game for her. I was wanting something like that, and you don't get that. So I'm like, why make this about football when there's really not football, other than to connect the fact that the dad is a coach? That's really it. Which, again, so then back to my eye twitching part. Didn't mean to like taper off there. So he tells her multiple times, and she's like, okay, but he keeps coming back to her. So he keeps coming back to her, and not in a horrible playing with you emotions way. He can't seem to keep himself from her, but he's the one that keeps coming back after he says we shouldn't do this. And so what really pulled my trigger was, in the end, her dad basically blah 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 lets her date who she wants, including Tyson, and she goes to tell Tyson this, and she has to apologize to him. She apologizes to him, and he kind of like turns away from her. She like sets up this whole like I'm sorry sign at a football game, and as he's coming out of the lockers to go onto the field, he sees the sign, he sees her standing there, he turns away and walks away from her. And then, excuse me? What? And then she goes after him, and he's like, oh yeah, you want, like, he's like, well, tell me how you feel. He's wanting her to tell him that she wants him, but like, why would she do that? You've turned her down several times, buddy. You should be fighting for her. And that literally, like, that was the biggest disconnect for me. It made no sense in this book at all. Why would she go after him? And two, why would she apologize to him? No, I did not mess with that. I did not like that, in my personal opinion. Honey, no, he should be coming after you. And, you know. But he does tell her he loves her, which is really cute. She says it first, I believe. And I think he's wanting that, which I liked that. He wants her to tell him that she loves him. But also, like, why would she do that though? When you've been the whole reason why, like, you told her multiple times you didn't want to do anything with her. So like, why would she stick her neck out? Like, you know what I mean? I get it. Sometimes it's got to be one of us. Like, I get that. But in this instance, and they're high school kids, like, nah, buddy. No, that's on you. Ball's in your court. So I really just, I wanted to like this book. I think this book had so much potential, and it just fell for me personally. That doesn't mean it'll fall for you. I will link this as well. You could go read this, and I'm glad I read it. I'll say that, but it's just, you know, even thinking about this from like my 16-year-old mind and my high school sweetheart experience and my story, and I'm thinking about me as a 16-year-old reading this, and I don't know. Football lacked in this. The whole rule, this author writes a bunch of books based off of, yeah, see, it's called the Rule of Love series. So she has a book called Rule Number 2, You Can't Date Your Sworn Enemy, I think is what it's called, and I think it's a whole different set of characters. But like, you can't date the coach's daughter? That should be like a big, huge chunk of this book. And yeah, like she had to hide and be secretive around her dad because, you know, whatever. He was very bitter about their mom leaving him. And so that just like was a hard thing for the dad. But like, let there be more about, like, look, she's wearing a helmet. But like, this really just didn't happen all the time, but whatever. Okay. You can clearly see that, that this book, I don't want to say bother me. I just felt like it was just a little let down. I mean, it had potential. Is it? I don't know how to rate it. I truly don't. I guess let me rate Ice Planet Barbarians out of 5 stars. I'm gonna go with 5 stars. Now this one, oh, I'm gonna be harsh. I'm gonna go with 1 star. I am. I'm gonna go with 1 star. So there's that, but you read it and you decide. You know, we all have our own particular taste, and like with food, with everything, with books. So that's that. I will say I was very eager to talk about this. I do feel very passionate about like wanting to speak about this. That's why I had to put in today's video. I just could not wait. And I just wanted more from this that I didn't think that we got. But that's it for today's book review. Probably a really long video. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Bye.